Hey, this is Ted Washington, former All-Pro, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by Replenishing Technologies, the future in sports medicine. For more information, go to thegruelingtruth.net. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49ers running back, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt, my partner. Hey, always good to be with you, man, and especially after a win. So, you know, as we exited the last show, we made clear we don't do predictions, but we kind of skirted around a prediction, and we came out on top. So we're 1-1, big man.
That's right. Yeah, likewise. Always good to get together, and especially after a win. Even though it was looking a little rough there at the end, it was good to see a win. And, you know, over the last few seasons, we've always had a good time, but it's a lot more fun when you can talk about a victory.
Hey, it definitely is a lot more fun. And you're right, it did get quite competitive there in the end, but that game turned out the way I thought a Matt Stafford quarterback team should play. You know, they played well and they were, you know, competitive, and, you know, and they tried to win that ball game, and that was quite different than the first game that they played. So as a fan, I'm so happy he played the way he's supposed to play. And that Detroit team is talented. They got some talent over there as well as the 49ers. So it was a great game for the 49ers to come out and, in my opinion, beat a good team. It's not the team that played the first week, but that second week they beat a good team. So it was a good preparation going into this Kansas City game.
Yeah, you know, the Detroit Lions right now, I mean, the easy, I guess I could say the lazy analysis that I hear either from fans or just see on social media or whatever about the Detroit Lions right now is, well, they're 0-2, and everybody remembers the Jets game. This is still a team that, I mean, yeah, 0-2, once you go 0-2, your odds of making the playoffs are very, very, very slim. So, yeah, they're 0-2. They're going to have a hard time making the playoffs. But had they won, to me, the Detroit Lions are right in the same boat with the 49ers. They're a wild card contender. And they play well. They have good receivers over there. They've got a good quarterback. And with Garrett Blount, they have the makings of some kind of a running game. So it's not like they're completely terrible or anything like that. And they've got receivers over there that are dangerous, namely Golden Tate, which we noticed, Kenny Galladay,
Absolutely.
Which we noticed, and even Marvin Jones. You know, these guys are not slouches. And when Matt Stafford gets hot, he can be hard to beat. So it was good to see, even though it was kind of frustrating those last 10 minutes of the game, because a couple things go differently, and it probably never happens like that. But, you know, they're competitive, and it was just good to see the Niners come out on top. And young teams are going to have those games, but if you can win them, that does a lot for you.
Absolutely, and a couple of things. One, don't forget about, I know you mentioned LeGarrette Blount, and but that rookie from Auburn, who is a very talented back and showed, you know, signs of stardom. So he is the guy. If LeGarrette Blount isn't there, he's the guy. So they both are very, very good. And I think as Detroit moves on, people are going to see, yes, your chances of starting out 0-2 is slimmer to making the playoffs, depending on how everybody else continues to do or how they falter. But Detroit still is in a position. You know, unfortunately, they're in the same division as Green Bay and Chicago and Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota. So that doesn't bode well when you start out 0-2. But the 49ers aren't in their division. So, I mean, if they come back and they win their division games, then they got, you know, a great chance of making the playoffs. So Detroit is not a team to forget about. So the 49ers, in my opinion, won a very, very good game and just prepares them well from a confidence perspective and X's and O's to move forward, because 2 weeks into the season, teams are still finding themselves. They're still developing as a unit. So the 49ers aren't close to where they're going to be. So they're really moving along very consistently right now to be a very, very good ball club.
Yeah, and I think that's really the right perspective to have in this so far. You're going to have all kinds of negativity when if they don't blow everybody out every week. There's some people that think, they won the last 5 games of the year last year. Jimmy G's a franchise quarterback. Therefore, we should go 14-2 this year, blow people out, and win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just not realistic. It's not going to happen, and you have to take these things in stride and take them in the right perspective. The Niners are a young, developing team. And the other thing that we have to keep in mind is, like you said, this is not going to be the same team that we see at the end of the year. We have to remember, Marquise Goodwin's injury is huge for that offense. It changes the way defense play and strategize against Shanahan's scheme because Marquise Goodwin received a lot of targets last year during those last 5 games, and he stretches the field. When he's not there, it just isn't the same. And the same with Reuben Foster, who returns this week.
Absolutely. That defense got to gel together once all the pieces, are together over there. But from an offensive perspective, we got a long ways to go because when you look, regardless of who, I don't know if the word is put the blame on, who takes responsibility for it. But at the end of the day, whether it's Garoppolo holding on to the ball a little longer than he should, which he admitted that, and that's the sign of a great quarterback because even if it wasn't that, he's taking responsibility away from his players, which is a great sign of leadership. But him holding the ball too long or the line not holding up, the defensive front as well or as long as they should, the bottom line is there were 4 sacks, I believe, in the first half. In the first half alone. So, again, I think it's going to get better because the better your running game, when you have a top leading rusher in the league, unexpectedly so, but the potential to be that's why when McKinnon and Breida get in there, it's going to be crazy off the chain. But the better your running game, the better your play calling because, one, the better you run the ball, that play passing becomes very, very important in Shanahan's offense. But the line, they aren't going to be rushing. The defensive line is not going to be rushing as hard. I just think the whole setup from a performance perspective is going to set up well for the 49ers. The running game is getting much better. Leading rusher in the league, as I said. Garoppolo, we know he can throw. If he doesn't get pressured or he doesn't hold on to the ball as long, this offense, the potential is unlimited in where they could be in the league as far as in the ranks, being tops in the league in productivity from the running game and the passing game.
Yeah, Matt Breida, the running game was not supposed to be the strongest part of the offense. And for them to get that kind of production out of Williams and Breida together was really big. And the other thing about Matt Breida last week was, they're up 20-13, and they get the ball back very deep in their own territory. He rips off like a 20-yard run, and then we see that gorgeous 66-yard run with the amazing blocking of Pierre Garçon. We don't want to forget about him. That was a great blocking job all the way down the sideline. That is a home run threat that the Niners really have not had since Frank Gore, and probably more the younger days of Frank Gore. And that's really huge because that takes a lot of pressure off Garoppolo. We don't want to see no quarterback, no system wants to see their quarterback having to convert 3rd and long, having to have the whole weight on their shoulders. So if they can, the more production they can get out of that running game, that just bodes so much better for the offense.
Absolutely. And as we said earlier, Matt Breida in this game against Detroit, you're talking about a 12.5 carry average, 11 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown. And then when you talk about the first game, you're talking about 184 yards total, which is leading the league. So you got a run game that is going so well. It's gonna bode well for how well our passing game goes. So they're doing really well. And you had Morris, 48 yards on 14 carries. So the running game is developing into a very, very competitive facet of the game for the 49ers. So when you put that with the receiving that Garoppolo is going to do, I mean, he was 206 yards in this game, 18 for 26, 2 touchdowns, and ever more important, 0 interceptions. It gives you a chance to keep those possessions instead of having turnovers, because when you turn the ball over, minimize the possessions you got less of a chance of winning. So they're putting together a very, very, very good puzzle here that's going to equate into winning as they go through this season.
Yeah, as far as a lot of times we like to break down games by talking about the good and the bad. The good definitely covers the running game. I mean, you ran off the numbers for Matt Breida. I believe even before that 66-yard touchdown run, he was still averaging over 7 yards a carry, which is fantastic. So it's not like the only thing he had was that 66-yard run. He had a couple of 20-yard runs, and I believe he leads the league in runs over 20 yards. And that's terrific. That's such an added bonus right now.
Absolutely. And if you look at the two bigger plays he had, it fits the MO of the Shanahans. No matter what they do, they're putting their guys like Terrell Davis running downhill, and it's one cut and go. And Matt Breida has the ability, as well as Alfred and McKinnon, going downhill, one cut and go. And when you start going downhill like that, and you're about 15, 20 yards downfield, and you get to that second level linebackers, third level secondary, and the guys are coming at you at an angle, and the ability of the backs that the 49ers have, they can cut back without losing any speed. And Matt Breida showed that on that 66-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and that's really huge for the whole offense, because we know the passing game is good. We saw, tight end play I thought was very well. They were really holding Kittle the whole game. He even made a comment afterward. He says, "Yeah, they were definitely in love with me. They were all over me." And then we saw Garrett Selleck catch a touchdown. It was to the point where that holding penalty that they held on Kittle negated kind of a not so good throw by Jimmy Garoppolo that could have ended up in either a pick six or put him right down at the goal line. It kind of saved him from that pass. But I thought the tight end play was good. The receiving play was good. Pierre Garçon continues to come down with difficult catches. He's a dependable number one. And then Dante Pettis, that guy can really run routes. And the 35-yard catch and run that he had was really nice. Hopefully they can keep getting him involved. And I really believe when Marquise Goodwin comes back, which could be Sunday because he's practicing now, that just opens everything up, because his speed, it's very comparable to Tyreek Hill, which we're going to see this week against Kansas City.
Yeah. You know what? His speed definitely is comparable. Once we, talk about Kansas City, Tyreek Hill's quickness, his quickness at this point is uncomparable. It's crazy how quick this guy is and how quick he gets out of his cuts and back at that same speed. This kid here, boy, he is the real deal, and I'm going to stop raving about him because he is opposing to this weekend to the 49ers. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm giving him any preferential treatment. But what I'm giving him is looking at a player that just reminded me of myself, but not as quick or as fast, even though, I did run a 4.3, and I was pretty quick, but the systems were very, very different. 49ers were never going away from, the West Coast offense, and what Kansas City is doing. Bieniemy. You remember Bieniemy, running back for San Diego Chargers?
Oh, yeah, Eric Bieniemy. He was in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Well, he's the offensive coordinator for Kansas City. And,
oh, man, I did not know that.
Yeah, he's the offensive coordinator, so he's what he's doing is very innovative. And man, he is creating the offense to fit the players, not the players to fit the offense. And, he's putting those, guys in position to take advantage of their abilities. So it's really, really working out. So I commend him for what he's doing as an offensive coordinator for Kansas City. Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be a challenge, and we're gonna definitely break down the preview of that matchup It's nice to see that the Niners also have a player like Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill might be kind of in a league of his own, especially as it's coming from a guy like you who knows all about speed and quickness. You're a special teams player. You're drafted largely because of your speed and quickness.
Right.
And so you know about that. But it's nice to see that the Niners have similar guys with talent like that. Marquise Goodwin comes back. Dante Pettis is quick. Matt Breida.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan loves speed in that offense, and so I think we're going to continue to see that as it develops. And there's a couple guys. Last want to give a shout out to right guard Mike Person. He was supposed to be out with a foot injury, and he said, "No, I'm playing." And everyone took notice as to how he gutted that performance out with a bad foot, and how he was able to play through the pain. And he did open up some lanes on the running game, and so hopefully he's doing even better this week and can block against Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. One, that means something to your teammates. It means something to your coaches. And if your fan base knows it and understands it, it means something to them. So this guy is gaining respect from all around. So that's a great deal for the 49ers for him to play, in that particular situation, because you're right, he could easily have sat. But I'm happy for him, and that's going to do something very, very special for this 49er team, as an offense in general. So that's wonderful. Definitely.
As we round out the good part of this game, we kind of can shift over to the defensive side of the ball. The guys that really stuck out to me and have been good now 2 weeks in a row, we've got DeForest Buckner on the line. He's got way more production numbers-wise than both Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. He's got 3.5 sacks. He's got several tackles. I believe he's got a forced fumble. And then you got rookie linebacker Fred Warner, 22 tackles in 2 games, and he just looks like the real deal, kind of like the way Reuben Foster looked last year as a rookie. So now this week because Foster's back, pairing them together is going to bode very well for the defense. And then Richard Sherman, kind of like, that 94 team. Deion Sanders, your college teammate, would always blanket half the field. And all the attention went to the other side where you can do a lot more stuff to try to help that other corner. That's what's going on right now with Richard Sherman. He's given up one catch last week, and that's because he stumbled over Diggs' foot. That's all right. And so now they're barely even targeting him, and when they are, he's knocking the balls down. Richard Sherman's playing fantastic so far, and does not look like his Achilles injury is bothering him in any way. He looks like he's fully back, and that's terrific for the defense.
Yeah, and that's exciting for all of us, because we surely didn't get the Richard Sherman during the preseason, that we wanted to see. But then again, he's a veteran. He was coming off the Achilles. So really, whether he was hurt or not hurt, veterans sometimes don't play. And, so it's great to see what we're seeing in Richard Sherman, getting the results that we thought we were going to get. And it's clear that Seattle thought that Richard Sherman was gone. So we're happy he's still with us. So he's definitely making that defense better because, again, you know what, you put him on the best receiver and you blanket that side now. It doesn't mean that, great receivers aren't going to get their catches, but I tell you what, they will be contested. So it's great to see Richard out there doing what he's doing.
Yeah, so, between him, DeForest Buckner, and Fred Warner, felt like the defense played very well. And then also on special teams, Robbie Gould, the special teams player of the week, just such a reliable kicker. Every time he, lines up the kick, it goes in. And, I don't know. I think a lot of fans probably know what I'm talking about here, and I'm guessing you do too. You ever notice over the years, if you watch a game, if someone's got a streak of anything going on, like, let's say 8 straight made field goals.
Don't say it. Don't you say it. I know what you – hey, I tell you what, I'm going to say this before you complete what you're saying, because I'm trying to save, 3 points here and there for the 49ers, okay? all I know is let's use Shaquille O'Neal, who never hit free throws, but let's say I'm using reverse psychology. Shaquille gets up there to shoot a free throw, and they say, "Man, Shaquille never hits a free throw. What does he end up doing? Hitting the free throw."
Yeah, he sinks it.
Yeah, he sinks
right.
it. So
these guys are prophets. It's crazy.
Hey, so I tell you what, hey, Gould, we are not, we're not going to do that to you, man. Hey, just keep doing what you're doing.
No, but they actually did it to him twice. They stated whatever he's on, and I'm not going to be all specific because I don't want to jinx nothing either.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to matter what the announcers say. And my wife even looked at me. She just said, "Uh-oh," because she knows. And I said, I ain't even worried. And he just right down the middle every time. He don't flinch. He doesn't break. He don't bend. He is so dependable. And then Raheem Mostert, that guy, what he brings to special teams, I mean, is there a better gunner in the league than him right now? I'm not sure there is. He's able to run by his guy and he makes tackles every time.
Absolutely. Quickness, tenacity, effort, because you can't teach two things. That's energy and effort. And you've got to have that at that position, and he surely shows it. And that's why he's productive as he is.
Yeah, so just being able to have dependable special teams and some core players on defense that are playing well. And that don't mean that to say that they've got things that they got to work on, because right now there's no question. I don't think there's any fan out there, any analyst out there or beat writer that would look at the 49ers right now and say they don't have anything to work on, because they still got a ton to work on. But you can see this kind of coming together with these core players, veterans and rookies and second-year players alike. It doesn't seem to matter. They're coming together, and, they're going to face a big challenge this week. But I was pleased at the effort, even though we had some mishaps near the end of that game. Still a really good effort to get that 30-27 win.
Right, and there is nothing greater than knowing you're nowhere close to what you will be, but you're winning through the process. And, being 1-1, losing to a good team, one of the best there in Minnesota, and then, beating, in my opinion, a Detroit team that came off of their loss and showed that they are still one of the top teams and will be competitive, in that division with Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. So winning that game, knowing you got a lot of work to still do, trust me, when they inside those walls at the 49er complex, they know exactly what I mean, and they're happy, to be where they're at right now, knowing they're going to get much better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they had to be happy they survived that win, or that game to get out there with a win, and they know they got a lot of work to do. So, we're going to kind of shift into the areas that were probably not so good, the areas that they need to work on. I thought one of the things that I saw was the pass rush just is not getting it done this week. Last week I thought the pass rush was better. I thought we saw more pressures. This week, other than DeForest Buckner, there just wasn't a lot. Cassius Marsh did a little bit, but the players that I was really hoping to see step up that just have not yet are second-year player Solomon Thomas. They drafted him number 3 overall last year to be that guy. He's good against the run, but he's still struggling with his pass rush. And then Eric Armstead, who's a first-round pick in 2015. He was brought in. He's DeForest Buckner's college teammate, one of the Twin Towers, 6'7", 290, big guy. But he just has not materialized as an effective pass rusher. We're hoping they both get better, but as of right now, it's a weakness.
At where they are right now, they're going to continuously get better and develop. But until they take the bold move of hooking up or calling up, in my opinion, Charles Haley or somebody else across the country, maybe some players that are active and maybe friends, or somebody, Hall of Fame or a great player living somewhere else in the country, man, you got to put your pride aside, and you got to understand that you don't know it all, but in order to get better, learn something new and different, you got to go seek the people who have done it well and learn new techniques and really commit yourself to, 4 to 6 weeks, to change bad habits or learn good habits. And it's too late to do it now because of, the season has started. But they've got to do that to get better. You've got to always understand that you got room for improvement, but reach out to somebody who knows where you want to go, that has been there, and who has done things you want to do. So that's the only thing that's going to get these guys that we think has crazy potential, that we've said it for years. I mean, the potential that they have. And we have the talent to be the top defensive line in the country. And it hadn't gotten there. And it seems like Jacksonville jumped up and passed us quickly because those guys brought in, those veteran guys, or the younger guys got that training or, looked at other guys who did it well, and what are they doing now? They're killing it. So that's what I recommend these guys do.
Yeah, I don't really know what their off-season regimen has been. I don't know if they have reached out to anybody, but it's just one of those things where right now what the 49ers need is a consistent pass rush, and it just hasn't been there. And if that doesn't get better, it's going to be hard to beat teams like Kansas City, San Diego, Green Bay, teams that have that really good quarterback. And if you don't get pressure on, they're going to pick you apart. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. So getting better is no option. You got to do it, and you got to do it quick. Right. And then the other part, I would probably say the rest of the secondary did not have a great game. The safeties, Tart and Colbert, I wouldn't say they've given up a ton themselves, but they also haven't really made the big play. There's been a couple knockdowns, but I think what they've got to do is give Ahkello Witherspoon some help. I heard that he was hobbled with an ankle injury, and that's why they took him out late in the game in favor of Jimmy Ward, which surprisingly, Jimmy Ward did not give up a big play. I was very glad about that he was relatively effective when he was out there. But Ahkello Witherspoon was just getting killed out there. And when you've got Richard Sherman on one side of the field taking it away, don't you got to slide that safety over, kind of like the way we moved Merton Hanks around to help Eric Davis out in '94?
Absolutely.
I mean, don't you got to slide that safety around? So hopefully they do that.
Absolutely, and to compare, an All-Pro Eric Davis to Deion is not fair. But the fact is when you have a Deion like a Sherman that's shutting down one side, they have no place else to go except the other side. So Why not? If he doesn't need to help over the top, why not move that safety over to help him out? I'm not a defensive coordinator, and I'm no rocket scientist, but that's what. And we got a great defensive coordinator now. He's good, but
yeah, he is.
They got to get.
He's very good.
They got to get. But maybe it's a confidence thing, and Witherspoon saying, "Oh, I got this, coach. Don't worry about it. Just put him in the middle of the field. Put the safety in the middle of the field." But at the end of the day, hey, if you see this consistently happening, then you got to help him out until his ankle heals or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think they got to do something to make sure that he doesn't become a liability. Because as a second-year player, I thought Ahkello Witherspoon played pretty well last year when he had his opportunities, and I do think he's a good corner. He's a tall guy. He's got a lot of talent, second-round pick, but you don't want his confidence be all wrecked up. So I'm really hoping they can give him a hand this week. And the other thing about the defense that it was disappointing was in the run game especially, missed tackles, so many missed tackles. And I kept thinking, well, that won't happen when Reuben Foster's out there. I don't think he misses tackles too much. But I'm hoping as a unit that they're able to clean that up, and that as they grow, as they continue to develop, that just becomes something that we don't see very much.
Absolutely. And let's not be shocked and surprised that Reuben Foster coming back doesn't raise the level of play of the entire defense. So him coming back really can make players play better. So I'm going to be optimistic about that because everything seems to be coming together. Except got to get better pass rush, and Witherspoon's got to hold his own. But I think the whole defense will get better when arguably your best defensive player is coming back. Give or take, Sherman, and Foster, who's the best on that defense or whatever. But I think we could tell when Foster was there that Foster is the future of that defense.
Yeah, to have a guy like DeForest Buckner on the D-line, Reuben Foster in the middle, and then Richard Sherman on the back end, that bodes good for a defense. That should really help everybody develop and be more cohesive. So, yeah, I agree. I think Reuben Foster coming back elevates the whole defense, and they're going to have to be elevated this Sunday. So the last thing I want to bring up before we shift into the Kansas City preview is probably there was just a little bit of play calling that I gotta be honest, it was disappointing because we talked about it before, off the air.
Right.
When after Matt Breida's long touchdown run, they were able to get that lead, and because Detroit was hanging around, Matt Breida busts off 2 long runs in a row, including the touchdown. So now it's 27-13. The defense steps up. I believe they forced Detroit into a 3-and-out. They get the ball back. They're driving. Alfred Morris is running the ball very well. Matt Breida is still running the ball a little bit, but they're moving the ball. They get down to I think the Detroit 15 or 20-yard line. It's second and short, and instead of doing what brought you, dancing with what brought you there, they run a jet sweep to Dante Pettis, results in a fumble. Very lucky that ball didn't bounce to a Detroit defender. Instead, Pettis recovers it, but takes a 7-yard loss. Now it's 3rd and long. They don't convert, and they settle for a field goal. Can't take time off the clock, and all of a sudden Detroit had to feel like they had new life, and it was at that moment. That's when Detroit started to move the ball, and, of course, that 67-yard reception to Golden Tate didn't help things. But to me, that play, had they took some more time off the clock and ended that drive with a touchdown, I don't know that Detroit even comes back. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not saying this is valid or not, but some Atlanta fans, being here in Georgia, some Atlanta fans are still, upset about clock management, appropriate play calling with the big-time leads, but coaches have their method of doing things, and sometimes it's viewed as madness. It didn't hurt the 49ers in this particular situation, and I'm going to trust the man that I think is the right guy for the position, and, what we see, I'm sure he sees. So he may call something different, the next time they're in that situation. So, again, in Cal, I trust right now. And I don't think anything's going to change as far as my belief in that. He's just I think he'll learn from that. Because that could have easily cost the game when really you didn't need to run that play when you were running the ball so well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I totally trust Kyle Shanahan and his system. He's no question the right guy for this job. I really believe he's going to, any mistakes that are made, he will learn from them. It's just one of those things where you just want to, especially when you're struggling to get your first win. You've got a sizable lead. It's like something inside me just screams, "Don't get cute with this. Let's put it away."
Right.
And obviously, if Pettis takes that jet sweep and scores, we say what a genius call it is. So I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
But it's just one of those things when it doesn't work, you question the play calling. But certainly, we don't question. Was he the right guy for the job, and is he going to, take us where we want to go? There's no doubt he will, but I just hope that in a similar situation, just pound the ball.
Yeah. But now you do know Kyle listens to our show, and he takes everything that we say to heart.
That's right, no question.
And he makes those changes that we suggest. So that's wonderful. Our show is great, man. Hey, it reaches everybody.
So that would kind of round it out for the bad that I saw. There's a lot of things to be positive about. Even guys like Sheldon Day, the pickup from the Jaguars, had a nice knockdown. Just valuable depth on the defensive line. Hopefully they can make the improvements that we were talking about, take the next step. But it's going to be a challenge to stop the Kansas City Chiefs. What are some of your thoughts on the Chiefs this week? What do they got to do to win?
Oh, well, for one, there's somebody over on that defense that's got to get a lot quicker, a lot stouter, and be able to get off blocks, because you cannot get blocked and potentially miss Tyreek Hill and the what's the running back's name?
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Those guys are extremely talented. Hey, you talking about this week? They've got to have a guy on scout team for the 49ers that's playing those two guys that literally should be exhausted after practice, because that's the kind of effort it's going to take to get a realization of how these two guys play and how you have to defend them. So, and then you got a quarterback who is not just one of the top young quarterbacks. This guy, you know, I thought they were crazy getting rid of and sending their quarterback to Washington, whom I really
Alex
like.
Smith, right?
Yeah, Alex Smith I really liked. He can still play at a high level. And this young guy they see something or saw something that we didn't see, or they felt like it was time. And they were correct on that assessment. So he's just playing at a high level, and it's going to really challenge Sherman and the rest of that secondary. And I say that because of the passing game, but the running game is going to be challenged based on Hunt and the running game. So, man, it's going to be a very, very interesting game. We cannot have Garoppolo holding the ball too long. We can't have the line missing, not holding the defensive line out long enough for them to pass it. If the ball's not come out with the clock in your head ticking, you need to either throw it away unless it's third down, and 8 to 10, and you're trying to get that first down, then you may take a risk if you're not on your side of the field. But other than that, they're going to have an effort beyond what they played against Detroit or Minnesota in order to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think on the offensive side of the ball, what the 49ers need to do is have long drives. The best way to keep Kansas City from scoring is keep them off the field. Don't let Patrick Mahomes get in a rhythm and have him get a long drive or some big play. You can prevent a lot of that by keeping your offense on the field and having long drives. And when you get in the red zone, you got to score. We got to have a better red zone performance than we've had the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. That's the best way to do it, because if you keep the ball out of their hand, then you minimize the damage they can have against our defense. So I agree with your assessment 100%.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge, but if they can get these long drives, because here's the good thing about this matchup. We know about Kansas City's offense. Kansas City's defense is the worst in the league. They can't really stop anybody. So they have to take advantage of that. If Marquise Goodwin is back, they have to have just the full Mike Shanahan. It's a similar thing. I think of both of them when I say Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan, the full Kyle Shanahan offensive assault has to be in effect with all these weapons to be able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and the rest of that offense. So hopefully they can exploit that defense. I think the Niners defense is better. So with Reuben Foster coming back, hopefully that keeps Kansas City one-dimensional. They can stop the run and keep them one-dimensional. Gives you a chance to – you don't have to guess as much. You know it's going to be a pass, so you got to get after the quarterback and just, try to stop those receivers.
Absolutely. Again, that's the second assessment, from your perspective of how you stop them to give us an opportunity, or the 49ers an opportunity to win. I can't add anything additional to it other than you're absolutely right. That's going to happen in order to give the 49ers a chance to be in there and have a chance to win it in the end.
So hopefully they can run the ball, which will milk clock, keep Kansas City off the field. You stop the run, make them one-dimensional, and you got to be turnover-free. It's a necessity. They were turnover-free last week. They were able to I believe they got one turnover on Matt Stafford. Somehow they've got to get a big play, especially early in the game, to set the tone. Because Kansas City, the Niners have not won in Kansas City since 1982, the strike season. And since then, I believe they've lost 4 in a row. And it's been definitely not good. So hopefully they can get something there.
Hey, and it's not a place to go into and take it lightly, because I know it was the year that Joe Montana left us and was with. And I'm going to tell you, they beat us, but I have never heard a louder stadium than that stadium. And I heard that that's the way it is all the time. But I think it was a little extra. I think it was a little extra loud because of Joe Montana being there, and it was us that they were playing. But you're right. It's not going to be an easy task because of where the game is. But the 49ers have got to do some of the things that we said to increase their opportunities to win. And until they don't, I'm going to trust that they're going to get it done. But I don't know if it'll be enough in the end to beat this team that's very, very talented on. And that's crazy to even say when their defense is around the worst in the league. But it goes to show you how powerful their special teams and offense is, and their coaching. They're doing a great job with their coaching on the offensive side and on their special teams. So it's going to be interesting to see where we stand at the start of the fourth quarter and whether we have an opportunity to be in this game or not.
Right. You bring up special teams. That's going to be critical as well, because even though we talked about this Raheem Mostert and the coverage of the special teams, you can't be punting the ball to Tyreek Hill multiple times. He's just too good of a player. And, I think Kansas City is going to move him around a lot. I'm kind of concerned that they're going to put him on the outside. I mean, if I was them, I'd put him on Richard Sherman. I would say, go ahead, you try stopping Tyreek Hill.
You know what?
And then you can move him around and put him on. You can put him on Witherspoon too. He's going to be difficult to cover no matter what.
Yeah, and that's what they've done so far. They moved him around, and they don't mind motioning him from one side to the other because they feel like his talent against whoever they're going against is superior. And so far, they've been right.
Right. Then you got Sammy Watkins, and then you can't slack over the middle because Travis Kelce's been playing very well. So it's just so many weapons. It's going to be a challenge for that defense. And so they're going to have to get pass rush, and they're going to have to make some kind of a play early in the game to set the tone to not let Kansas City get out to a lead. Because if Kansas City gets out to any kind of a double-digit lead, 8, 10, 14-point lead, that is going to be really tough to come back from, because now your running game won't be as effective because you're going to have to pass, and that's going to be tough.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the tight end, and I tell you what, I mean, long before now, I've looked at him as being one of the best. He's athletic like a receiver.
Yeah.
But in the tight end position, which means anytime you put a linebacker or safety on him, it's a mixed match. So
exactly,
that's who's going to be on him, safeties and linebackers. Foster coming back, is he going to be the one that's on him? He's going to have to bring it, and I have faith in Foster, but Kels has shown consistently to be productive against, regardless whoever he's going against.
Yep, that's the thing. I mean, I could see Foster being on him. I could also see Fred Warner being on him, because Warner was brought in primarily for his coverage ability. So you could see either one of them being on him. No matter who it is, they have to win their matchup. You can't let Kelce burn you over the middle, because then you have to start worried about the middle, and then you've got Sammy Watkins on one side and Tyreek Hill on the other. It's a lot of offense. It's a lot of stress on a defense. So, you have to keep them off the field, and if you get to third down, you got to get off the field on third down. You cannot let them convert third and long or third and anything, really.
Yes, that's going to be the difference maker. If they want a chance, that's going to be the difference. Third down conversion as an offensive team, and stopping the third down conversion as a defensive unit. So that could be or will end up being the kicker for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully, Mahomes makes some in-air throw early. Hopefully they can force some kind of a fumble on Kareem punt or something like that, or make a big play on special teams. Like, we didn't really talk about DJ Reed with that long kick return for the Niners. If they can make some kind of a play like that, that's huge for field position.
Yeah, and he stopped grabbing the face mask of his the defender. I mean, at some point he had to realize, the guy just doesn't levitate in the air. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's gliding through the air, for a reason. Somebody's got that face mask. I mean, what a play to have come back because of your own doing,
Yeah. So these are the things that have to happen if they can make the big play, stop them from making the big play. It's it's the cliche, but it's so true. This is why you say things like run the ball, stop the run. That's a huge key. And got to avoid the turnovers and limit the big plays. I think right. We don't like to make predictions here, but obviously we're concerned about this game. So hopefully they can overcome the areas that they've been deficient on and find a way to give them a chance late in the game to win. Because if this is a 2-point game, Robbie Gould will win it. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And you know what? This is the 49er show. And it's no secret we're 49er fans, but we're also, if we want to be taken serious, we got to be honest and respected analysts about the truth and what we see. Because what we see is what others see. It's all an opinion, but it's based on facts and production. So, but nobody's unbeatable. But there's some things that's got to happen for that to occur.
Yeah, I do think a lot has to happen for them to win this game. So I think we'll learn a lot about the team this Sunday, 1:00 Eastern time. It's gonna be tough, but you know what? That's why they play these games. They still got to play the games, and these are the games that where you can grow from either way. So we're hopefully going to see a lot of good things this Sunday.
Absolutely, and again, just like Minnesota, winning that game wouldn't have defined our season, and losing it wouldn't. And it's the same thing with this one. Playing these type of games, especially when they're out of your division, you want to win them for your overall record. But at the end of the day, it's not going to define how good you'll be or how bad you'll be, but it can give you a measuring stick. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see lots of good things, and we'll see some of these guys come back from injury and help. I believe Malcolm Smith is going to make his 49ers debut after this would be game number 19 that they've played since they got him. So hopefully he'll finally be able to play, because last year he tore his pec, and then this year he's had a hamstring injury. So it'd be good to see him out there, even if it's just for a handful of plays, to be good depth, because he's a good player. Some guys coming back from injury, and I do believe in the Shanahan scheme, and the guy is able to call up a heck of an offense. And then Richard Sherman said something about Robert, the defensive coordinator, calling a great defensive game last week. So I believe in these coaches. I believe in these players. It's going to be a big challenge. The odds are against them, but, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. The game's played, regardless of what we say, it's played, won, and lost on the field. And at least the 49ers fans, everybody's looking at this game, this season, differently than last year. This year, we've got a chance. Last year, I don't think anybody thought we had a chance. So, no, that's a good thing.
Yep, they should be at least competitive in this game, which is a step forward. So,
absolutely.
So we'll definitely be watching the game. Hopefully, we'll all have a lot to cheer about, a lot to enjoy. So, as always, go Niners, and we'll see how it all ends up.
Absolutely. Go luck, Niners. Let's go 49er faithful. Stay on the side of your team. They're playing hard for you.
That's right. So we want to thank everyone for listening today. We want to encourage everybody to go out to grillingtruth.net for articles, podcasts, whatever you enjoy in sports. You'll find it there on the Grilling Truth. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you've looked for a sports podcast, you'll find the Grilling Truth. So for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grilling Truth Radio Network, where the legends speak.